Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My beloved brothers and sisters in Kuching, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we speak about something so simple, yet so deep, the frequency of the pillars of Islam. You see, the 5 pillars are not just events in our lives, they are rhythms, they are beats in the heart of a believer. Just like the heart pumps blood regularly to keep you alive, the pillars pump faith into your soul to keep your iman alive. 1. Shahadah, a lifetime's declaration. The first pillar, the Shahadah, is not a sentence you just said once when you became Muslim and then put away on a shelf. No. Every time you pray, every time you make a choice between halal and haram, you are declaring it again. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. It is daily, it is hourly, it is in every breath. 2. Salah, the daily connection 5 times a day, the Adhan calls us, not because Allah needs our prayer, but because we need it. Imagine if your phone battery is low and you refuse to charge it until the end of the week. It will die. That's what happens to the heart if you only pray occasionally. The frequency of Salah is daily so often that even when you travel, you shorten it, but you never leave it. 3. Zakat, annual purification once a year. We are reminded to clean not only our wealth, but also our hearts. Giving zakat is like cleaning your home. If you don't do it regularly, dust piles up. Greed is the dust of the heart. Once a year, we sweep it out by helping those who have less. 4. Sawm, yearly renewal. Ramadan comes once every year, not to make us hungry, but to make us better. It is like a spiritual gym. It trains your patience, your self-control, and your empathy. You graduate every Eid, but next year, the course starts again, because our souls always need renewal. 5. Hajj, once in a lifetime, forever in the heart. Some pillars happen once, like Hajj, but their lessons repeat every day. When you stood in Arafah, or when you see it on TV, it's a reminder one day you will stand before Allah alone, with nothing but your deeds. The Ihram reminds us of our shroud. The unity of people from every nation reminds us that no one is better than another except in Taqwa. 6. The secret of the pillar's frequency. My brothers and sisters, Allah did not choose these timings randomly. 5 times a day, once a year, once in a lifetime, each has a divine wisdom. They keep us on track. They stop us from drifting too far. If you pray daily, give annually, fast yearly, and strive for Hajj at least once, you are constantly being pulled back to Allah like a boat tied to a safe harbor. So my message to you here in the blessed land of Kuching is simple: never let the rhythm stop. If you've missed a beat, catch it again. If you've lost your timing, restart today. Because the pillars are not just acts of worship, they are lifelines for the soul. May Allah make us steadfast, consistent, and alive in our faith every single day. Ameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the most powerful qualities in the life of a believer is istiqamah, consistency and steadfastness in obedience to Allah. It is not about doing something once in a while when we feel motivated. It is about holding firm even on the days when it is hard. We live in a world where enthusiasm comes and goes. We start a project with excitement, but after a few days the energy fades. We begin a habit of praying on time, but one busy morning we delay it, and soon the delay becomes the norm. This is why Allah and His Messenger taught us that Allah loves deeds that are small but done consistently, more than deeds that are huge but done only once. Consistency is what turns good actions into a part of our very identity. When you pray 5 times a day, every single day, no matter what, it becomes second nature. You no longer ask yourself, should I pray now? You just do it, like breathing. That is the beauty of istiqamah. It makes worship a natural part of life. Think about how you build strength in the body. You cannot go to the gym for 10 hours once a month and expect to become fit. But if you go for just 30 minutes every day, the change will be real and lasting. In the same way, you cannot expect to build spiritual strength by doing one intense act of worship once in a while. The soul, like the body, needs steady, repeated nourishment. Istiqamah also protects us from the whispers of Shaitan. When you have a consistent routine of worship, Shaitan finds it harder to break you. If you only worship when you feel like it, then your ibadah depends on your mood, and moods change with the wind. But when you are consistent, you worship because it is your duty and your love, not because it is convenient. And here is something beautiful. Istiqamah is not about perfection. It is about coming back every time you slip. You may miss a prayer, but you rush to make it up and fix the habit. You may miss a day of Quran reading, but the next day you open it again. This coming back again and again is part of Istiqamah itself. Even in the life of the Prophet, we see this principle. When he started a good deed, he would stick to it. If he prayed extra rak'ah at night, he would make it a regular habit. This shows us that consistency is not only for the obligations, but also for voluntary acts, because they build the discipline that strengthens our obligations too. The Quran tells us, "Indeed, those who say, 'Our Lord is Allah,' and then remain steadfast, the angels will descend upon them." This is a promise for those who live their faith, not just in moments of inspiration, but in the steady flow of daily life. It is this firmness, this persistence, this refusal to give up, that brings the mercy of Allah in both this world and the next. My beloved brothers and sisters, Salah is not just a ritual. It is not a set of movements and words repeated 5 times a day because we have to. Salah is the lifeline between the servant and his Lord, the daily appointment where your soul meets its Creator. Without it, the heart dries up, the mind becomes clouded, and life loses its direction. Think of how the day is designed for a believer. Before the sun even rises, you are called to stand before Allah in Fajr. The world is still quiet, the streets are empty, and you speak directly to the one who gave you another chance to wake up. This is not coincidence, it is divine scheduling. It is Allah saying, "Start your day with me, and I will bless the hours that follow." Then comes D, who are in the middle of your day, when you are busy with work, school, or errands. Salah at this time is like a pause button for the soul. You disconnect from the rush of dunya to reconnect with the peace of the hereafter. It is a reminder that no matter how urgent your tasks feel, there is something more important: your relationship with Allah. Asr arrives in the late afternoon, when energy is low, and the mind is already drifting toward evening. It is as though Allah places this prayer there to revive your spirit and remind you that the day is not yet over. The Prophet made dua for blessings in the time after Asr, because it is a period when the deeds of the day are coming to a close. Maghrib comes just as the sun disappears, and it marks the transition from day to night. For the believer, it is not just about marking time, it is about thanking Allah for getting you through the day safely, and seeking His mercy before the night begins. Finally, Isha closes the daily cycle. It is like a believer's final meeting with Allah before sleep. Some people end their day with entertainment, others with worry, but the believer ends with remembrance, standing before his Lord in quiet worship. When you look at the timing of Salah, you see it is perfectly spaced. You are never far from the next prayer, never left too long without renewing your connection. Like a lamp that must be recharged regularly, your heart needs these prayers to keep its light. And in Salah, you are not speaking to just anyone, you are speaking to the King of Kings. When you say, "Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin," in Surah Al-Fatiha, He responds. When you bow in Ruku and say, "Subhana Rabbil Azim," you are humbling yourself before the one who owns all greatness. When you prostrate in Sujud, your forehead touches the ground in the most vulnerable position a human can take, yet in that moment, you are closer to Allah than at any other time. This is why the believer guards Salah fiercely. Not because he fears punishment only, but because he knows without this connection, his soul will starve. The one who abandons prayer is like someone who stops drinking water. The thirst of the soul will consume them. Even the Prophet, who was promised Jannah, would rush to prayer at times of joy and at times of hardship. He would tell Bilal, "Comfort us with it, O Bilal." And notice he didn't say, "Give us a break from it," but "Comfort us with it." Because for the one who tastes the sweetness of Salah, it is not a burden, it is relief, it is peace, it is home. My beloved brothers and sisters, when we talk about the 5 pillars of Islam, many of us think of them as individual obligations, tick the box, and it's done. But the truth is, the 5 pillars are not merely tasks, they are an ongoing program for life. They are like the pillars of a building. If you only build them once and then never maintain them, the whole structure weakens. Let us imagine for a moment that these pillars are like a clock ticking at different intervals to keep your spiritual life running smoothly. Some tick many times every day, some once a year, and some perhaps once in a lifetime, but they all work together to keep our Iman alive. The Shahadah is the first pillar. It is the foundation, the declaration that there is none worthy of worship except Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger. This is not a one-time statement for the moment you entered Islam. Every prayer you make, every temptation you resist, every time you choose honesty over dishonesty, you are renewing that Shahadah. It is daily, it is hourly. Sometimes it is even in the quiet decisions no one else sees. Then there is Salah, the daily connection. 5 times a day, no matter where you are in the world, there is a call reminding you it is time to reconnect. And notice, it is not once a week like the Friday prayer alone, because our hearts need more frequent recharging. Just as a person cannot survive on 1 meal a week, your soul cannot survive on 1 prayer a week. The frequency is deliberate morning, midday, afternoon, evening, and night, because without this rhythm, we become disconnected and forgetful. Zakat is another pillar, but its frequency is different. It comes once a year, yet its impact is designed to last for the next 12 months. It is like a yearly spiritual cleaning. Just as your home gathers dust over time, your heart can gather greed, pride, and attachment to wealth. Paying zakat cleanses both your wealth and your soul, and when given sincerely, it changes your relationship with money. Sawm, fasting in Ramadan, is also an annual practice. Once a year, the month comes to reshape our habits, to strengthen our willpower, and to remind us what hunger feels like for those who live it daily. But the training of Ramadan is meant to carry over into the rest of the year. That is why we are encouraged to fast voluntarily outside of Ramadan Mondays, Thursdays, the white days, so the benefits remain fresh, not forgotten. Then there is Hajj, the once in a lifetime journey for those who are able. While its physical act may only happen once, its lessons are timeless and meant to be revisited constantly. The patience you learned, the humility you felt, the brotherhood and sisterhood you experienced, these are meant to be applied daily in your local community, with your family, and in your private life. You see, the beauty of the 5 pillars is in their varying frequency. Some are daily, anchoring your faith constantly. Some are yearly, giving you a cycle of renewal. And some are once in a lifetime, but with a lifetime's worth of reflection. Together they create a system where you are never too far from Allah for too long, and you are always reminded of your purpose and destination. My beloved brothers and sisters, zakat is not just about money leaving your hand, it is about blessings entering your life. It is not a tax, it is not a fine, and it is not a loss. Zakat is purification. It cleanses your wealth from the stains of greed and selfishness, and it cleanses your heart from the love of dunya that can silently take root. We work hard for our earnings, we save, we invest, we plan for the future, but no matter how careful we are, hidden impurities can creep into our wealth, perhaps through a transaction we did not notice was doubtful, or through the subtle pride that comes from watching our balance grow. Zakat is like the yearly washing of gold, removing the dirt you may not even see with your eyes, but which dulls its shine. It is amazing how Allah has set the frequency of zakat once every year, because just as our homes gather dust over months, our hearts gather attachment to wealth. If we do not clean regularly, the dust becomes a thick layer, and what was once a blessing can become a burden. That yearly act of giving reminds us, this is not my money, it is Allah's trust in my hands. And the beauty of zakat is that it is not only for the poor, it is also for the giver. The poor benefit because they can eat, learn, live and breathe without the weight of extreme hardship. But the giver benefits because the act chips away at arrogance, replacing it with humility and gratitude. You begin to see that the extra you have is not a sign that you are better than others, but a test to see if you will share it. Charity, in general, is an extension of this purification. While zakat has a fixed amount and specific rules, sadaqah has no limits. It can be daily, weekly, or whenever the heart moves you. Sometimes it is a coin in the masjid box, Sometimes it is paying for a neighbor's meal, and sometimes it is giving your time or skills without asking for anything in return. The act of giving should not feel like removing a part of yourself, it should feel like planting a seed. A farmer does not cry when he throws seeds into the soil. He knows that they will grow into something greater. In the same way, whatever you give for Allah's sake will return to you in ways you cannot measure. It may not always come back as money, but perhaps as peace in your heart, protection from harm, or barakah in your family. And notice the language of the Quran. When Allah speaks of charity, He calls it a loan to Him. Imagine that the Lord of the worlds, who owns everything, says, "Who will lend Allah a goodly loan so that He may multiply it many times over?" This is not because He needs it, but because He wants you to taste the honor of giving for His sake. Zakat also creates a sense of unity in the Ummah. It closes the gap between rich and poor, not by making everyone equal in possessions, but by ensuring no one is left behind. When a struggling family receives food, clothing, or school fees from Zakat, they do not just survive, they feel the mercy of Allah through the hands of His servants. And when the wealthy give, they are reminded that their comfort is not guaranteed and that it is their duty to lift others. My beloved brothers and sisters, fasting is not simply about staying away from food and drink. If it were, then anyone on a diet would be fasting for the sake of Allah. No, fasting is about the heart, the soul, and the refining of character. It is about developing taqwa, that constant awareness of Allah that influences every choice we make. Once every year, Ramadan arrives like a blessed guest. It does not come uninvited. It is written into the calendar of the believer, and when it comes, it brings with it a training program for the soul. For an entire month, you willingly put aside what is normally permissible food, drink, intimacy, not because they are wrong, but to prove to yourself that if you can avoid what is halal for the sake of Allah, you can certainly avoid what is haram. From the first light of dawn until the sun disappears, you feel hunger and thirst. But this hunger is not a punishment, it is a reminder that there are people in the world who feel this every day, not by choice, but by circumstance. Fasting softens your heart towards them because you have tasted a fraction of their reality. It also teaches discipline. You could eat when no one is watching, but you don't because you know Allah is watching. That awareness, that private obedience, is the essence of taqwa. It is easy to look righteous in front of others. It is harder to be righteous when no one can see you except Allah. Fasting trains you to do just that. And look at how Allah designed this act. It is not daily all year round, because the body needs rest. It is not once in a lifetime, because the soul needs regular renewal. Instead, it is once a year, like an annual spiritual retreat that resets your faith, polishes your heart, and reminds you of your purpose. Ramadan is also a time when the doors of mercy are flung wide open. The Messenger of Allah told us that in this month the gates of Jannah are opened, the gates of hell are closed, and the devils are chained. It is as though Allah removes extra obstacles so you can focus purely on growing closer to Him. But fasting is not just about abstaining from eating and drinking, it is about abstaining from everything that displeases Allah. The tongue must fast from lies, gossip, and hurtful words. The eyes must fast from looking at the forbidden. The ears must fast from listening to sin. Otherwise, as the Prophet warned, a person might get nothing from their fast except hunger and thirst. The nights of Ramadan also play a role in this yearly renewal. After a day of fasting, you stand in prayer, reciting the Quran, sometimes until your feet ache, and yet you feel peace. Those hours in the night are when the soul drinks deeply from the mercy of Allah, even as the body thirsts during the day. And then there is Laylatul Qadr, a night worth more than 1,000 months. A single night in which your sincere dua, your tears, your Quran recitation can outweigh decades of worship. It is as though Allah is telling us, this month is not only about enduring hunger, it is about seizing opportunities for eternal reward. My beloved brothers and sisters, Hajj is unlike any other act of worship. Salah happens daily, Zakat and Sawm come yearly, but Hajj, for most people, comes only once in a lifetime. Yet, even though the physical journey may happen once, the spiritual preparation for it should begin long before you step foot in Makkah, and the lessons from it should remain long after you return home. Hajj is not a sudden trip, it is a response to a call that was made thousands of years ago. When Prophet Ibrahim built the Kaaba by the command of Allah, he was told to call the people to Hajj. And even though there was no internet, no television, and no microphones, that call reached across centuries, and when you perform Hajj, you are answering that ancient invitation. From the moment you enter Ihram, you are reminded of death. 2 simple white cloths for men, modest clothing for women, no fancy brands, no status symbols. You leave behind the distinctions of the world and stand equal before Allah, just as you will one day be wrapped in a shroud and stand before him in the hereafter. The Talbiyah Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik is more than a chant. It is a declaration that you are here in full surrender. You are saying, "O Allah, I have left my family, my work, my comfort, my bed, my home, and I have come because you called me." Every time those words leave your lips, they should echo in your heart. If I can answer this call today, why not answer his call in my daily life? On the plains of Arafah, the scene is unlike anything else on earth. Millions of people, all dressed alike, all raising their hands, all begging for forgiveness. It is a picture of the day of judgment, when every soul will stand before its Creator, with no one to help except Allah's mercy. You realize in that moment that your wealth, your title, your nationality, none of it matters. What matters is the sincerity in your heart and the weight of your deeds. The stoning of the Jamarat is not just about throwing pebbles at a wall. It is about symbolically rejecting Shaitan, as Prophet Ibrahim did when he was tempted to disobey Allah. Each stone you throw is a reminder that every day in your own life you must reject the whispers that try to lead you away from your Lord. Tawaf, circling the Kaaba, is an act of unity and surrender. Millions move in the same direction, around the same house, worshipping the same Lord. It is as though your life is being recentered, with Allah at the core. And as you walk, you remember that every moment of your life is also a kind of of every decision, every step should revolve around the obedience of Allah. Hajj is physically exhausting, but that exhaustion is itself part of the worship. Your sweat, your blisters, your tiredness, all of it is recorded as reward. And it reminds you that Jannah is not earned by comfort, but by striving. The return from Hajj is not the end of the journey. In many ways, it is the beginning. The purity you feel after Hajj, the closeness to Allah, the clarity of purpose, these are gifts you must carry into every day that follows. Because if Hajj was a single act in your life, its lessons are meant to shape the rest of your life.